The Monkey Island update is arriving tomorrow on the 20th of July, and whilst the developers have been pretty quiet about what to expect from the new update, they have just released a deep dive video, and I've managed to find a few other tidbits worth talking about, and one thing in particular that is really exciting for the future of Sea of Thieves, and I think could be one of the most impactful updates to the main sandbox we've ever had. Stay tuned for the end of the video where I'll talk a bit about that. Hello pirates, my name is Ellie and I post regular Sea of Thieves videos on this channel. If you want to stay up to date with the game, then remember to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I put up a new video. Now, most of the information in this video was found in an interview that Mike Chapman did with Xbox Wire. I'll link the full interview in the description so you can go and check it out. There's also some information from the developers on Twitter and of course the new deep dive video and the video they released yesterday showing off Mêlée Island. Obviously this is quite a spoiler heavy video, and so if you want to go into the Monkey Island update without any spoilers or inside knowledge, then you should click away from this video now. And to be honest, you shouldn't be on social media or YouTube until you've played through the Tall Tales if you want to stay spoiler free. So spoiler warning out of the way, let's get into it. Much like with the A Pirate's Life update, there is going to be a new NPC located on each outpost where you can start the Monkey Island Tall Tales. This was confirmed by Mike Chapman on Twitter a while ago when Allhound asked if there would be a place at the outpost to start the Tall Tales, and he replied stating that a new NPC will be located next to the Castaway. Now, the latest deep dive video confirms that this new NPC, Captain Kate Capsize, who is a character from the Monkey Island franchise, is going to introduce our pirate to this new adventure, and will ask us to track down Guybrush Threepwood. It turns out that the Pirate Lord had invited Guybrush and Elaine to the Sea of Thieves for their honeymoon, but they never turned up, and so it's our task to hunt them down and find out what happened. It's great to be getting a new NPC and a permanent addition in the form of a new character to the Sea of Thieves world. It's also nice to get a little update to the outposts. I always like it when they change things there because it gives everything a fresh feel. Insult sword fighting has been something a lot of players of the original Monkey Island games were hoping for when first hearing of the new crossover with Sea of Thieves, and I think a lot of people are going to be very happy when they learn that this style of swordplay is confirmed to be coming to the game with these new Tall Tales. During the Mêlée Island tour video that Sea of Thieves posted yesterday on social media, it was said that you could come across fearsome foes and that insult sword fighting is the way to handle these new enemies on Mêlée Island. So it looks like it won't make it into the main sandbox, but will be the way you deal with enemies throughout Mêlée Island itself. In the Xbox Wire interview, Mike Chapman essentially confirmed that you will build up knowledge of insults because he says it's more accessible in the first-person format that Sea of Thieves has, because the bulk of the flow of combat is handled through the quips and retorts and how you build up that knowledge of the insults. It sounds like you'll have to learn new retorts and comebacks, which is really cool, and very similar to how the original Monkey Island games worked. Tougher opponents required different comebacks, and so if it works like that in Sea of Thieves, I think it could be really interesting. I'm really hoping that there are commendations tied to this where you can get rewarded for using specific comebacks in certain scenarios, or learning all the new sword fighting insults available. We'll have to wait and see how it all works, but I can't wait to try out this new style of combat in Sea of Thieves. Mike Chapman talked in the interview about the recreation of these 2D games into 3D for Sea of Thieves. They also talk about this challenge quite a bit during the deep dive. It obviously isn't that easy to recreate a world in 3D when you're working with 2D locations. Making sure it stayed true to the original locations whilst being explorable in a 3D world like Sea of Thieves was important to the team over at Rare, and it seems like they've done all they can to keep it as close to the originals as possible. In the interview with Xbox Wire, Mike Chapman says that if you're able to move the camera into the right place in certain iconic locations to recreate the scenes from the original games, you will unlock an audible memory from Guybrush and Elaine. There will be lots of these to collect, and if you collect all the memories, you'll get Monkey Island themed artwork trinkets for your ship. I love that they add these collectible style commendations in Sea of Thieves, and I can't wait to find all the memory spots and really relive the moments from the original games. I think it's a really clever way to show players who maybe didn't play the originals how things went in the original games, and better yet, you get a reward in the form of trinkets for doing so. Another thing that was discussed in the interview and mentioned in the deep dive is that Mêlée Island and Monkey Island, when it becomes available with a future tall tale, are fully explorable areas in their own instance. These islands are visited in the Sea of the Damned, and so solo players or single crews can explore freely with no interruption. It was also said that there is no pressure to push the tall tale forward. You can explore the islands fully and solve the puzzles in these tall tales without following a linear progression. This is something very new for Sea of Thieves and makes these new tall tales unique when compared with the other experiences in the game. I'm hoping to find lots of Easter eggs and fun secrets as me and my crew explore the island. Let me know what you hope to find while exploring Mêlée Island down in the comments. We learned from the deep dive video that we'll be facing a new enemy type after all. I suggested in my last video that a new enemy type would be a great addition for the Monkey Island update, and it turns out that LeChuck's ghost pirate crew are seemingly a new enemy type we will fight. I would imagine this is strictly on Mêlée Island, but there is a small chance we'll see this new enemy type in adventure mode like we did with the phantoms and ocean crawlers in A Pirate's Life. In the tour of Mêlée Island video, you can see these ghostly pirates dotted around the town area, and so I think they're going to be quite frequently seen on Mêlée Island. This new enemy type appears to be very unique looking, and not like anything we've fought before. I'm excited to see where we encounter these enemies and how we go about defeating them. LeChuck is also discussed in the deep dive, and it looks like he is the imposter from the Dark Deception adventure, and so it really does look like this update will intertwine with the Flameheart story. LeChuck can be seen with the Sword of Souls that's been imbued with flame, and so there clearly is a very strong link here. So there's definitely some very exciting story elements on their way, and so I can't wait to experience all of that in-game. Now, this next part has huge implications for the future of Sea of Thieves as a live service game, and as you all know, I'm a big fan of live service, and I really want to see Sea of Thieves lean more into this ever-evolving shared world game they keep saying they are. Well, during the interview, Mike Chapman was talking about the mechanics they have added to the game due to the nature of the point-and-click and dialogue-heavy aspects of Monkey Island games. Obviously, there is some differences to the games when you're talking about a 2D game that relies heavily on reading dialogue and looking around the screen. When you translate that to a 3D first-person world, there are going to have to be some changes. Mike Chapman went on to talk about how they have, quote, overhauled our NPC dialogue system so we can now have fully voiced characters, and there's now AI pathing for NPC characters, so characters can move around the world freely operating under their own brain. Now, this is such a huge update for the main sandbox and will go a really long way to making the world feel more alive. NPC dialogue has been such a real issue for me since the game started changing, because nothing really ever changes with the NPCs. It makes the game feel static because the NPCs aren't mobile, they don't change what they say to reflect what's happening in the game, and this has always been something that's bothered me. Potentially, with this overhaul, we will get the feeling from NPCs that they're aware of the changes happening in the world around them, and there will be more interaction with the characters in the world, making it feel more alive and more like you are part of this changing world. I want to talk a lot more about the impact of this on the game, but I think I'm going to wait until the update tomorrow and see for myself how this change is being implemented before I talk more about it. But it certainly has me excited for the future of the game when they're updating major systems like this. So the Legend of Monkey Island update goes live tomorrow on the 20th of July. Sea of Thieves tweeted that the servers will be going offline at 9 AM UTC tomorrow in preparation for the new update. I for one can't wait for this new one. The more I read about it and learn about it, the more excited I get. If you like the video, then please do leave a like and subscribe for more Sea of Thieves content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the seas.